Well, now's a good time as any to really just talk about this. I don't even know if I'm gonna end up uploading this video or not, but whatever, I need to say something at least. Whenever the... this is probably gonna come out before some of the most recent Halo videos that I've been recording, but honestly that doesn't matter because no one watches this channel anyway. In any case, I have a few things that I would just like to talk about, just speak about, doesn't really matter, didn't really script this, just some stuff that needs to be said. The first of which being, well, I can't help but feel that I've wasted the last 5 years of my life. For those of you who are actually aware, or those of you who actually care or give a shit, I spent 1 year of my life after finishing high school doing a prerequisite course at a place called Aviation Australia. This prerequisite course was for a aviation mechanic apprenticeship, basically. I was told at the time when I did this apprenticeship that it was essential to get this prerequisite to get a job as an apprentice in the aviation industry. As it turned, I was also told at the time that there was a 70% rate of people going through the course and getting work in the industry. Possibly higher, I don't quite remember. So then I look for work for about 6 months and then find work as utilities, working at Qantas. Working at Qantas, as if you don't know, is the largest Australian airline. Fair enough, might actually give you some decent opportunities, you might think. Nope. Not even slightly. Four years. 4 years to the day that I spent there. Working my ass off. Literally physically exhausting myself, scrubbing away, mopping away, breaking my body, probably, bashing my skull into multiple times to the point where it's no longer rounded, breathing in toxic chemicals without the correct PPE, because more often than not we did not have time to grab the correct PPE because of a certain team leader. I am not going to name them in this, and honestly it doesn't matter because no one's gonna fucking see this anyway. I'm probably gonna delete it anyway. Maybe private video, if I really... yeah, whatever. 4 years. 4 years I spent busting my ass, as it were, and noticing that for all the work I was doing, other people could just walk into work, sit on their phones, go home, and get the exact same paycheck. They weren't fired, even though we were contractors. They weren't dismissed, even though we were contractors. And you know what's even worse? The permanents. The permanents got away with so much more crap. Walking off the job for hours at a time, and when they were there, being practically useless. 5 years of my life wasted. And as if that all wasn't bad enough, turns out that the prerequisite course that I did is no longer a prerequisite requirement. Sure, it's supposedly fucking liked if you have it, but honestly, it's just been, well, pointless. 5 years. 5 years after leaving high school. 5 years of my... that's one... that is a long portion of life, let's put it that way, that I have wasted. Because I have not been in a position where I could actually take advantage of what skills I do have. Say what you will, I suck in interviews. I suck talking to other people. What I do is I get in there, I do my fucking job, and go home. I don't spend the time talking to my boss and saying, hey, this is what I've done today, isn't this great, how's your kids, how's all that other stuff, and being sociable. No, I do my fucking job. And I do it to the best of my ability. And I do it as physically hard as possible. Well, correction. When you are scrubbing an aircraft, there is no point in just fucking waving a scrubbing pad over the plane. To do it good, you need to scrub properly, putting force onto the plane to remove the stains that form from any number of things, including dirty rain on an aircraft. Hand grease and other crap. Suffice to say, if you were to ask me about some of the worst parts of an aircraft, I could quite easily tell you to clean. And that honestly depends on a number of factors. If you're relatively tall, like myself, getting stuck in the cargos where the floor panels are black and are supposed to be white, then yeah. Not being able to stand up straight in a small confined space is not fun. It's not fun at all. It is fucking painful. Having to work above your head under the wing. Stretching your arms and shoulders out to the point where where you now get a wonderful, painful sensation whenever you roll them back fully. And they make grinding noises occasionally. Yeah, that's not fun either. But honestly, all of that pales in comparison to me seeing the world at large going the way it is. One of my interests, as it were, is studying history. Generally military history, so that colours my perception of things a bit, but quite frankly, this world is on a path to Armageddon. Not necessarily nuclear Armageddon, but Armageddon all the same. You look at the status quo of the world 20 years ago, right? America's an industrial powerhouse, it has the largest standing military, it has the most well-funded standing military in the world at the time, right? You can't dispute that. Now you look to today, 2021. Specifically, it is the 23rd of August, 2021. As America has fucked up in the Middle East. They've fucked up badly. They pulled the Dunkirk without any of the pressures that Dunkirk had. They left a significant portion of their military hardware there. Because they wanted to leave quicker. They left their military hardware to a new government that would use them for ill as soon as the spotlight was turned off them. And you know what's worse? That isn't even the half of the problems that this world is facing. Maybe you aren't paying enough attention to it, or maybe you are, and I'm actually able to reinforce this, but this world's preparing for another war. It always does. Everyone prepares for the next war after they finish the last one. You want proof? Look at a couple of semi-recent examples. The F-35 program, the British Challenger 3 program, the Russian T-14 Merkava tanks, and a number of other projects that aren't as in the public eye. Certainly in the case of China, who has been copying technology for as long as I can remember. The world is gearing up for another war. And it's probably going to happen in my lifetime. And then you study World War II. You study World War I. You study, to a lesser extent, some of the wars that happened before then. And you see patterns emerging. You may not call it an arms race, but that's how I see it. That's how I'm currently seeing what's going on. 5th generation, 6th generation fighter jets, that's just another arms race. New submarines, new weapons for those new nuclear fucking torpedoes for the Russian subs, that's another arms race. And arms races lead to war. We only need to look at World War I to see that. And also, look at what happened before World War II. Germany had an arms build-up. They had it hidden. Mostly. And people who were checking didn't care enough to do anything about it. That's really what gets me, actually. It's just... this world is fucked. Our leaders are fucked. Because they don't learn history. They don't pay attention to history, they don't realize they're making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Because they don't study history. Because today, it is more important about getting re-elected than it is to make sound decisions to benefit your country. To benefit your people that you are representing and making decisions to benefit them. I don't claim to know all of the nuances of politics. I don't. I can't, because I'm not a career politician. I'm just some fucking jaded bullshit person, currently out of work because they've had enough of their previous job because it was a piece of shit. Where you weren't respected as a human. And that's the thing. Our governments don't really see us as people. They see us as numbers, as tools to be used for infinite games. If you're a smaller country, you might have more chance, like, say, Switzerland, who made literal nuclear shelters for their entire population. You know, like a sensible country would do. But it doesn't matter, does it? None of this matters. None of what we are doing matters, because individually, anyone who will see this video is just another number. You can't really change the politics of the people that are in charge. You can't change how they accept bribes and take on certain political views that benefit their pocket above the people that they are supposed to represent. I'm not saying that dictatorships are good. On the contrary, more often than not, they're even worse than a democracy. Because, especially in the case of inherited power, you have a nasty tendency of having more and more inept leadership after the first. Because it's inherited power, they don't have to be good to actually get into office. And honestly, it's the same thing here. Nowadays, it is how much money you have. How much money you can throw into your campaign or promotion, self-promotion, in order to be elected. As a prime minister, as a president, as a senator, as a congressman, as fucking any level of government, really. It's all about how much money you can put into your thing. And if there's no competition, then it doesn't matter. Does it? Doesn't matter in the slightest. That's really what I'm getting to here. It's just... maybe it's just me, but... I find it difficult to be motivated to do anything at the moment. Like, I was working on something called the Frontier Worlds Project. A world-building project that actually was able to come to my mind once I finished work, once I stopped working. Because, quite frankly, my previous job was mind-numbing, but that's besides the point. A world-building project that I was actually pretty happy with. I was happy where it was going, and now it's just sitting on my hard drive. Couple of Word documents on various things, and it's just... I don't know what to do with it. It's not complete, and it's just... there's no point. Sure, I could continue. Sure, I could write something, a short story or something, but it's not gonna matter. And I guess that's part of the problem. It's that nowadays, an individual's worth is next to nothing. An individual is practically worthless, and especially so if you are not skilled, not experienced in any industry that you want to try to get into. And I really don't want to do another manual labor demeaning job like I have been. I don't want it. I've had enough. Why am I recording this at... what is that? 10 to 1 in the morning? That is a good question. Am I going to probably post this? I don't know. I don't see any point to it. It's not going to change anyone's opinion. Just... I'm tired of seeing the same mistakes made over and over again by political leaders. I'm tired of being in a position where I can do nothing to prevent it. Especially individually. It's just it, isn't it? As an individual, we're worthless. As a group, we may be slightly stronger. And in the case of corporations, sure, you can do something to them. You can not buy products if you don't like what they're selling. That's the entire point. If you don't like what a company is selling, then you don't buy their product. It's that simple. Unfortunately, with the way our governments currently are, we can't not buy their product, as it were. We have to accept the lesser of two evils, in most cases, in every election. Because generally speaking, in most countries, there are two parties that have the majority of votes. Because they cater to the most people, apparently. That's it, isn't it? And then you get to the... no. And then you get to the issues that our governments aren't preparing for. That we are just blindly walking towards. Kicking the can down the road so it's someone else has to deal with it. Which happens to be climate change, by the way. And why I've somewhat appropriately decided to set this video in an underwater building. This is what the world could look like. It's not. This is an exaggeration of all hell, but this is what our world could look like for those who live on the coasts in our lifetimes. Potentially. Let that sink in for a moment. Where you live right now, if it's in a major city, it's probably near the coast or near a major river. If that's the case, it's probably going to be underwater. By a couple meters. It could have been something that we could have changed 50 years ago. No, I'm not kidding. Climate science was in fact being researched and warned about 50 years ago. And the governments then decided, in their infinite wisdom, and the companies, to just kick the can down the road. Small anecdote that I don't have a link to right now. A certain industrial firm decided to do research into climate science. They wanted to figure out how it would affect their business. As it turns out, it would affect their business in a positive manner, so they made sure to do nothing about it, and in fact spread disinformation, despite having the best research available to indicate, no, this is a problem. No, this isn't a problem, for us it's a benefit. Because today our world is surrounded by profit margins. Humanity needs something to unite us. It's quite simple, really. We need an existential threat to unify our entire people against. Climate change might be it, but it might be too late. And it's unfortunate that the people who have the most power are doing relatively little to fix it. Widening the yardstick, or widening the goalposts, as it were, over and over again, to make sure that any action taken against climate change might come too late. Our world is changing as we speak. Our very ecosystem, our climate, is changing as I speak, right now. And it might be irreversible. Hence why there's so many different things right now on this tiny bowl of rock and sand and water floating through space that could end our civilization. That could end us as we know it. That could just end us, period, really. And we're happily ignoring them, expecting someone else to fix the problem. In my case, I don't know if we can fix the problem. Another little quote, I think. Born too late to explore this planet, born too early to explore the stars. That's us, right now. We may never, ever explore any planets beyond our own solar system. Certainly not in our lifetimes. Because it's just like that, isn't it? It's the way it's gonna be. Our lives are born, it's taken, are born, live, we are born, we live, and we die in the shadow of those who came before us and those who will come after us. Well, in the shadow of those who came before us. Sorry. And at the same time, we leave a mark for those who come after us. And it's possible that human life will end within our lifetimes. Certainly if the attitude I've got right now is anything to go by, and no one does anything about it. Because no one who wants to do anything about it can do anything about it, because they're not in positions where they can. Take, for instance, a microcosm situation. Take, for instance, the Middle East, Afghanistan. More or less in the last couple days. Overnight, literally half the population of that country has lost their rights. They have lost their rights to do anything except what the new social hierarchy says. And that new social hierarchy is unfortunately one based... Gonna take the shit out of that. Based on the ideals of a society that existed about 1,000 years ago. You know, the whole women are not equals thing. Now, don't get me wrong on this front, it's just... women should have the same rights to live as men do. They should have the same rights to make decisions and live their lives as they choose. And a certain organization that I'm not going to say the name of has taken that away from those people. Pretty much overnight. Anyone who had chances of bettering their life, who happens to be of a different gender to the ones that this organization likes, is going to be ruined. They're going to be found. They're going to be given an ultimatum. And if they do not accept that ultimatum, they're going to use certain weapons that they have recently acquired to make sure that they do, or that they die. And this is what our governments have allowed. This is what the quote-unquote beacon of liberty and democracy has allowed. I think I'm done for today. Wish I could have ended this on a better note.